When you are a blue blood program, as the University of Michigan is, matter of fact, surprisingly, they took number 3 in the Juckonbucks blue blood ranking. There are 8 historical blue bloods. Don't let anybody fool you. There is no coming or going into the blue blood category. It is an old term that describes these following 8 teams. And when we broke it down to 11 categories, the 11 categories that mean the most in college football for how we would judge a program, and we lined it all up. Where do they fit in each category, each of the 8 programs, and then totaled it at the end. Michigan was the number 3 all-time best blue blood, best program in the history of college football. Those programs: Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, Oklahoma, Texas, and Nebraska. Those 8. That's it. That's all it'll ever be. And if you want to see that breakdown of how we ranked them, I will tag that video along here. My point is, when you are a program of this kind of stature, you definitely have to be very careful with who you hire as a head coach. When Ohio State hired Ryan Day, you had a situation where Urban Meyer was walking away, and the entire staff, the entire support staff, Mark Pantoni, Mickey Marotti, everyone was staying in place. You didn't have any turnover at all. So for Urban Meyer to walk out, promote Ryan Day, made sense. I was a little tentative about it at the time. I thought that they should have at least conducted some interviews, and maybe at the time somebody would have knocked their socks off. Who knows? But they handed it right over to Ryan. And when Michigan decided to go with Sherrone Moore, at the time, it certainly made sense. You could see that they were doing something similar to what Ohio State did. But at the time, we didn't know that everybody was going with Harbaugh. So keeping the band together made sense. Trying to do what Ohio State did. You can see that it's worked out pretty well for Ohio State to do what they did there. So they got a blueprint in their rival to see, look, it worked for them. Let's try it here. You got a guy that everybody in the program respects in Sherrone Moore, a guy who I think he's been there like 6 years, was just the offensive coordinator. So when it happened, yes, made sense. The issue I had with it was after we saw strength coach Ben Herbert, Jesse Minter, everybody leave with Harbaugh. If you're Ward Manuel, the athletic director, did you not know ahead of time that all these guys were going to leave? Did you not bother checking? Because if that was the case, if you knew those guys were all leaving, then hiring Sherrone Moore to not only be a first-time head coach, same as Ryan Day, but to also hire an entire new staff, now that's absolutely a horrible move, in my opinion. They're two vastly different things. And when I said that, the Michigan fans got really angry with me. Like, just the same thing. No, it's not. It's not the same thing at all. Now you've put all this new staff deal, and these are all new guys coming in. You're creating a whole new culture. This is not keeping the band back together. What you've done is you've decided to hire this candidate. It almost seems like a lazy hire at this point. You're Michigan. You could have gone out and gotten a whole lot of folks, and to settle for Sherrone Moore as a first-time head coach coming in and hiring his first staff, it seemed to me like if I was a Michigan fan, I would not have been happy about that. Keep in mind, I'm an Ohio State fan who wasn't happy they didn't interview other folks when they hired Ryan Day. This is not me just hating on my rival, just looking at, observing what happened in that program. It seemed to me like a bad move at that point. And I said so. And the reason that they all got mad at me is because I called Sherrone Moore a G5 level coach. It drives me nuts, but it's on par. I get it. But you got a group of 5 head coach starting with a brand new staff. I mean, how stupid is this Ward Manuel? Like, I know a lot of you guys don't like him, but did he really not ask anybody if they were going to leave with Harbaugh? Essentially, he hired a guy
that on the open market would have landed himself a group of 5 job to come in and be a head coach and hire a brand new staff his very first time at the University of Michigan. It is such an unbelievable train wreck.
And the reason I called him a G5 level coach was, had Sherrone Moore decided to hit the open market as the offensive coordinator of the national champion winning Michigan Wolverines at the end of the season and go out on his own and try to get a head coaching job, where would he have ended up? We certainly have guys who have been a coordinator even in lesser situations who have gotten amazing jobs. You look at Marcus Freeman. He goes and spends just 1 year as a coordinator at Notre Dame, gets the head coaching job after being the coordinator at Cincinnati. But he was the hottest defensive coordinator in the country at the time, huge name. There's a lot of cases like that. And sometimes you get to jump the ranks when you are the hot guy, right? Sherrone Moore runs a Stone Age offense, okay? Sherrone Moore was never the hot guy offensive coordinator, a hell of an offensive line guy. And definitely that's a huge plus. But the offense that Michigan runs, not something that was what everybody wants. Like, for instance, Tom Herman. Tom Herman in 2014 was the hottest offensive coordinator in the country, wins a national championship at Ohio State. Where did he go? The group of 5. He went to Houston. That was the next step up for Tom Herman. He didn't go straight to Texas. He went to Houston. Texas came after that. So if Tom Herman, who runs a sexy, excellent offense that everybody in the country wants, gets the Houston job, is it that much of a stretch to think that Sherrone Moore, who runs a Stone Age offense at Michigan, would have been a G5 head coach? I don't think so. Sure. Maybe a mid-level Big 12 job, mid-level ACC job. He could have gotten one of those two, right? I was being a little hyperbolic when I said it, but you get my point. On the open market, this guy is nowhere near the level of a blue blood head coach. Nobody else on that level was hiring him. They did. And it made sense to keep the band back together. But when everybody else left, it made absolutely no sense. And you're seeing now, the Michigan fans thought all summer that this was just going to keep on rolling as if they had the same staff. They are now seeing that a first-time head coach with a brand new staff, not ideal to keep things rolling. And looking at a place like Alabama with Kalen DeBoer, who came in with his staff, seasoned staff, kept on a couple of key pieces in Alabama, but basically a whole new staff able to keep rolling what's going on in Alabama. Looking at Mike Elko, a veteran head coach at Texas A&M, who came in immediately acquiring talent, big time talent. Sure, they got a better NIL program, but just a guy who knows what he's doing, a head coach. Sherrone Moore, in his press conference yesterday, 1,000-yard stare. Sherrone Moore.
Do without the mic if we need to.
Sat all off season with this team in this quarterback room. And this is what he's rolling out there. My goodness. Pulling the guy that he decided to go with after a couple of picks in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, just can't have him. Put the ball in harm's way too many times. So made a change, and we'll continue practice, see we'll go from there.
We'll go to Tony.
Just piggybacking on that, I guess, is the plan for Orgy to get looks going forward, or what's the...
That's what we practice. We'll figure that out in practice.
Were you surprised by some of the turnovers today from Davis? Because 11-14, I guess. He was consistent until he wasn't.
Yeah, just...
So you think, what's your prediction for Michigan this year then? Sounds like not great.
I think they're going to win 8 games. I think you're going to win 8 games. And I think that'll be, pretty good for the schedule that they have. They got, obviously 5 pretty tough games. I think they're going to win 8 games. And I think that you guys are going to be really upset with that still. even though that's what you're set up for. That's what your guy set you up for, and your buddy Ward Manuel there. I mean, when you think of who they could have gone and got, I agreed with the original "let's keep the band together" philosophy. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it makes sense. Hire Sherrone Moore, but that's before I realized everybody was leaving. So anyway, I think it's going to be a rough one.
It's a disaster, and it's only going to get worse. And when I said that this was going to be an 8-4 team, it wasn't anything that was groundbreaking. You looked at what the team was losing. 127th out of 134 teams in returning production says it all on its own, especially at a program that doesn't recruit at a level that they can just restock. And yes, I know, develop. You add that to the brand new coaching staff trying to gel, trying to fit together. This was never going to keep rolling. This was the most obvious thing in the 2024 season, that this program was going to come back to earth. And I don't understand how they're all so surprised by this. I really don't. But here they are. I don't think that they are going to be in the corner of Sherrone Moore much longer. Already seeing quite a few of them change their tune about Sherrone Moore. And like I said, if I was a fan of the program, I would not have been happy with the hire. And the thing is, I communicate with a lot of them on a daily basis. I can't remember, but maybe one or two of them telling me like, nah, I wish we'd have gone and at least checked the market and seen what we could have done. They were all lockstep with this, with the hiring of Sherrone Moore. And man, the dude's clearly not ready. Doesn't mean he won't gain experience and learn on the job and get good at it. He very well might. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, before he does, there will definitely be some growing pains that you would have preferred he go through at somewhere else, like a mid-level Big 12 job, a G5 job. He's learning on the job, man. Learning on the job. And when you listen to him in his press conference, this guy, first off, arrogant as hell at Big Ten Media Days. Arrogant as hell. And quite a bit of a different tune in his press conference yesterday. So anyway, they got USC next week. USC, a team that I think we might be overrating a little bit after watching LSU. Now, LSU got pushed around by Nicholls State last week. Then this Saturday, should have lost to South Carolina. A couple of calls went their way. South Carolina loses their starting quarterback. They end up winning the game. I checked middle of the second quarter, LSU, supposedly with the best offensive line in the country, negative rushing yards. I don't think that win USC had over them is quite impressive as I once did. USC, of course, beats them 27-20 and then goes on to shut out Utah State. Utah State, obviously a shutout's impressive. Is it really impressive when your head coach gets fired for a scandal 2 weeks before the season? That's a place that's in turmoil over there at Utah State. So D'Anton Lynn, defensive coordinator at USC, doing a great job, and they're definitely better, fundamentally better, schematically better, and they will be better with him in the future. Has he come in and plugged the hole enough that they can have a decent enough defense to be better? I think maybe, but I think we might be overvaluing them a little bit, and we'll see next week what the Wolverines are made of as they welcome them in. And I don't think anymore, after watching LSU yesterday, that USC is just going to steamroll them. I don't. I think this might be a little bit closer than I would have expected after last week. But Arkansas State comes in. They did not handle their business in Ann Arbor like they should have against a team like Arkansas State. And the fan base not happy as they come to the realization that, yes, in fact, they've got a G5 head coach coaching a blue blood program the year after they won a national championship. You can't make it up, man. Anyway,